Hello everybody. This is a pretty special video for us because we are actually on site of kind of what got us started doing the type of farming that we do. We are at Polyface Farms in Swoop, Virginia. So we've spent the day getting a private tour of different things, and we've learned a lot of detailed stuff that we've been learning through Polyface and YouTube videos for the past year. But it's just been really cool to actually put our own eyes on in person the stuff that we've been looking at and reading about and trying to emulate here for the past year or so. So you can see we're in the beautiful hills right at the bottom of the mountains in the Shenandoah Valley. It's been awesome. There's just a big rainstorm, so it dropped about 25 degrees, so it feels great. But you can just kind of briefly see just how beautiful this place is. And yeah, it's been an awesome day. We've seen chickens be processed. We've watched cows and chickens be moved. We're out here in the broiler pasture right now, but we want to take a second to maybe tell you a couple of takeaways from the day and maybe some things that we'll talk about more in the future. So Emily, what was one of your main takeaways?
I think for me, just seeing the principles of regenerative farming in action and seeing the fruit that it produces was really impactful. A lot of people don't know the difference between conventional farming and regenerative farming, and there's so much that we could dive into, so we'll just kind of give you a high level of some of those takeaways. But whereas conventional farming, depletes the soil, depletes the land, regenerative farming is actually healing the land. It's adding organic matter back into the soil. It's increasing biodiversity. So a couple of things that our tour guide talked about was the benefits of rotational grazing, which is kind of one of the main principles of regenerative agriculture, and that's one of the main principles that we use on our farm, is moving our animals to fresh pasture either every day or every week. But some of the things she talked about in terms of the benefits of rotational grazing is that it fertilizes the ground. So when they're moving their animals to fresh pasture every day, it fertilizes the land in a more even way than when you're doing continuous grazing. Animals will tend to poop and pee in one spot, and so it doesn't fertilize everything. But when you're moving animals to fresh pasture every single day, it tends to be more spread out. So it's adding that organic matter back into the soil. She talked about how when they first bought this farm, there was 1% organic matter in the soil. And today there's 8% organic matter in the soil. And usually the goal is about 3%. She said that it usually takes nature about 100 years to increase the organic matter in the soil by 1%. And they've increased it by 7% in 60 years. So that's one big takeaway. Also, she talked about, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people think that farming, or a lot of people know that farming is one of the bigger contributors to climate change and carbon emissions and all of that, and that is true. But regenerative farming actually sequesters carbon from the atmosphere and can actually reverse climate change. So she was talking about how proper management, pasture management and rotational grazing, how it sequesters carbon, and that properly managed grasslands actually sequester more carbon than trees, which I thought was really interesting.
And when she talked about farming that harms or adds carbon to the atmosphere, she's talking specifically about feedlots.
Concentrated feeding operations.
Where animals are raised in close confinement, where all their poop is in very close confinement, all that nastiness and all that stuff is together, versus rotational, spreading things out, even management of soil. Because ultimately, yes, they farm a lot of different animals here, but they're mainly soil farmers at the end of the day.
One of the other things she talked about is when you're properly managing pasture and grasslands, your goal is to keep the grass at kind of the medium length, because that's when the roots are the deepest, and it's growing at a faster rate. So when you're keeping it kind of at that length, the roots grow deeper, which actually protects the soil from erosion. And she said that for every percent of organic matter in the soil, every percent increase, it holds 20,000 more gallons of water. So it's not only more erosion resistant, but it's also more drought resistant.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot we could dive into, which we will maybe in some other videos to come. But yeah, the day was awesome. It was nice to kind of be refreshed on some stuff, but also learn a lot of little tidbits. So if you ever get the chance to come to the Shenandoah Valley for any reason or close by, definitely stop by the farm. They're open 24/7. You can schedule tours to get more in-depth info. Come watch them process chickens, move cows, all that fun stuff. So it's been a fun day here, and we'll look forward to getting back and being able to kind of implement and adjust even some of the own things that we do. So anything else, Emily?
I don't think so.
Awesome. We're probably going to get out of this field because you can probably hear the thunder, because we don't want to get struck by lightning. So awesome. We'll see y'all next time.
See you next time.